Welcome into the Hey Techies Show. Man, I'm excited about this show. I think you're right. It is going to be possibly a record rant night.
Well, it would have been better, I think, had I actually had some clips, but I'm not sure if I'm gonna be able to play them. It's a shame, really. I had a whole deal. I'm gonna have to save my deal to some other night.
Maybe.
It's a shame. It's a real shame.
We got so much going on.
All I can say is
for next week.
we were building up to 7-second delay.
I mean,
yeah. So if at any point during these rants we get to
yeah. And by the way, coming up, we are going to have Mr. Spinks Meganson coming up, and if you don't know that name, don't worry about it.
You'll get to know it.
And I think you'll really enjoy this interview. I think he's going to be great. And I really don't think this is the last time you're going to hear his name, because he's doing something that we have talked about on this show several times. He's doing something that the cord cutters are going to have.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, this is I'm sorry, this is big. I think what he did, and we'll get into it more later when he comes on, but it's big. But look, I'm going to have to probably...
Which I'm getting pretty close to being one of those cord cutters. I'm really, really thinking about it.
Unfortunately, we're not going to have. I don't think I'm going to have my clips tonight. But here's. I got to.
So worried about those clips.
Well, it was going to be great. It was going to be great. It was going to be great. But
we'll be able to mute commercials.
I have what I think is really an amazing story. I mean, and I say amazing half-heartedly. I think I have one of the top 5 stories of the decade. This just recently happened.
Yeah.
Do you realize, Bruce and Guru, that we could possibly have the first female president running? Not vice president candidate.
Yeah.
Female. And not only that, did you see this week? She can bark. Did you see that? I know y'all are saying this is politics, but I'm telling you, I'm going somewhere with it.
Okay.
She actually can bark and sound like a dog. I mean, it was amazing. Did you see it? Did you hear it?
No.
Well, on top of that, let me tell you how far it's gone. It's such a story. It's transcending everything.
Okay.
Did you know that CJ, a German short-haired pointer, did you know that he wins Best in Show at Westminster just this week?
No,
did you know that?
I did not.
I didn't know you followed the Westminster
Did you know
show.
that, Guru?
I'd heard it on the news the other day.
But he was on. Can you believe this? He's actually, the dog has got thrown in the political arena too.
Yeah.
He was on a news show. A news show now.
Yeah.
And they played Hillary Clinton barking for him in the studio. Okay? I'm serious about this, Bruce.
Man,
Hillary Clinton.
There's a lot I want to say.
Is barking. You know, it's her voice,
break.
and he has a delayed reaction, but then gets up and looks around like there's a real dog.
You're thinking it, audience.
But on top of all that, now think about this. She could be the first female president. We've had some vice president candidates, but president that I know that I remember. And she can successfully bark like a dog.
Yeah.
Sound just like one.
Yeah.
And she can also do one more thing, Bruce. And, man, it's killing me I threw this together today.
What's that?
She can wipe a server with a cloth.
She can.
Last year, she had a quote. You mean with a cloth?
Yes.
Wipe a server? I mean...
The show has gone to the dogs.
It is. It's already going toward the dogs. I know, but I thought about this morning, and I said, you cannot, can you believe what... Not only politics, but everything in general, what we talk about. I mean,
we get into a lot of stuff.
I know, but I'm saying we're down to the dogs now.
Yeah, we're down to the dogs.
I don't care. Look, I know it was Mrs. Clinton, Senator Clinton, and she's a presidential candidate. She's running for Democratic presidential candidate. For now. Okay. Well, listen. Let me finish.
Okay. She may run from there. I don't know.
My point is, I don't care which candidate it was. I would be playing their voice, barking like a dog.
Right now,
they're running for president.
Got to give that.
I just think it's interesting. By the way, this is the Hey Techies Show. Welcome in.
Hey Techies Show.
256-782-5600, and we will be taking your calls later. And but this is a big show because I don't know if you know this or if y'all have heard this. There's a big thing going on with Apple in the FBI.
What?
I mean,
what are you talking about?
You may have not heard the story.
Oh,
It's
man.
been talked about and bannered around.
Where are we at on that 7-second delay?
It's
We're good. We got 7 seconds now.
there's all kinds of information out there. I mean,
And a lot of misinformation.
and a lot of misinformation, no question about that. And a lot of interesting things that are going on as far as what in the world is all this encryption about. There's people learning things that I bet they never even heard of before. Words, encryption, secure enclave, the A7 chip, the A6 chip. Was it the C5? Was it the 5? Was it the 6? I mean, there's discussions. Can it do this? Can it do that?
Or they're just staying uninformed
They're staying
and
uninformed.
listening to all the talking heads saying shame Apple, which I will say in this case. Well, everybody knows what I'm going to say in this case.
Well, but we're really teasing this because we're going to get into it in the second hour.
Yeah.
That's really where we're going to focus in the second hour. But I just can't believe, in a way, where we're at now. I mean,
Which, by the way,
it's bizarre.
Real quick, if you're listening to the show, I think you're late for another show that they're having over at South Paul.
Yeah.
Bloody Andrew Jackson.
Yeah, I think there's a few people there, I understand.
Yeah. So
Bloody Andrew Jackson. I've never seen it.
if you're not there for the premiere,
I'll just say we have an excellent drama program.
we'll have
yeah.
we'll have a review next week, I suppose.
Bruce is bringing a review of the drama.
I thought you were
program.
going.
I'm not
I
going.
thought
to
they
that.
gave
No
you tickets.
offense.
Didn't you win tickets?
No, that wasn't me.
Don't employee of the year get like
yeah,
full
employee of the
special
year.
perks.
Yeah,
Employee of the
don't
year
you have
does-
don't you have a seat there?
Employee
Like
employee of the
Yeah.
year
reserved.
Employee of the year does
Well,
not
center.
get special
Got a
reserved
little
seats front and
brass
center.
nameplate.
Well, you know
Employee
what?
of the year
Yeah.
sits here.
Right.
I set up all their ticket stuff. I think I can
You
arrange
should.
something.
You should at least.
I'll arrange something for you.
Right. You should at least earn that. Well, so what else is going on? Did you see where this hospital? We're just
Dude,
teasing this,
that's at the end of the show.
but we're just teasing it.
Okay.
I mean, if you want to know what we think, you'll have to wait around.
Well, I know
You're gonna have to-
Apple. You know, we talked about the Error 53.
Yes.
If you replace the Touch ID sensor,
they have
Yes.
fixed it.
they are putting out a release to fix that.
But when they do, they're also putting out the back door for that.
no, they are not. No,
You heard it here first, folks.
Yeah, they're
putting
like,
out the-
oh, we're going to comply. In order to fix
Yeah.
this, we are also having to open up a back door.
Yeah, Apple Pay is coming to China now. It's now available in China. How about that?
I'm sure it was already available
No, that's news this week. You know, we may not get to
in
this stuff.
some form or fashion.
Apple Pay is now in China.
Yes, Apple Pay is now in China.
Officially. Okay.
So-
by the way, in case you're wondering, if you're listening to the show and you say, "Well, I tried to go to Blab," we're not on Blab tonight.
We're not on
We had a little
Blab.
problem with Blab, but it's beta, and actually, I think some other shows are having problems with Blab. I'm even having a problem
Yeah.
saying it.
Yeah.
So
But
I don't know.
but the best place to watch us live is heytechiesshow.com
Correct.
/live.
/live,
Whatever, we're on Blab or
and you can
Google
listen,
Hangouts. You can just go there and we'll have it there.
and you can listen to us online.
Or Yahoo
Straight
Yahoos.
audio.
Yep.
That's not a
Just
thing.
go to heytechiesshow.com. Everything
I
is
said
there.
if we're on the Yahoo Yahoos.
We're not on the Yahoo.
No, we're
Yeah,
not.
is that a thing?
No, it's not. But they should totally do that.
They should totally do
The
that.
Yahoo
shouldn't they?
Yahoos. Which,
Yahoo
man, I was
Yahoos.
totally rooting for her as CEO, but I think Yahoo has seen it's
Rooting for her as CEO.
yeah.
Who?
I'm trying to think of her
I
name. She
missed
came
that.
from Google.
Oh yeah.
Her name escapes me at the moment.
Yeah. Okay, I know who you're talking about now. Yeah, okay.
Marissa Meyer.
Marissa Meyer. Yeah, you want her to be.
Well, I do not like Yahoo. Don't get me wrong. When she became CEO, I was like, that's probably the best thing that could happen to them.
Yeah.
And it has. I mean, they were probably already heading down that road anyway. But I feel for her.
All right. Well, we're going to cut on to a break.
Stay with us.
Yeah.
Especially for our number dose.
That's right.
When we
But
get into
this hour right here, we'll be right back.
rants.
Don't go anywhere. There's more in the queue lined up just for you.
Looking to cure that sweet tooth of yours? Mad Hatter Cupcake Shop is now proudly serving the Jacksonville area at their new location at 16 Public Square on the Square. Mad Hatter is open Tuesday through Saturday from 11 to 9 p.m. and they are closed on Sunday and Monday. For additional information, be sure to check out their Facebook page, www.facebook.com/Mad Hat Cupcakes, and their website, www.madhatcakes.com.
Red Threads Apparel carries a wide selection of t-shirt designs for every school function, work party, and much more. They also offer custom layouts for monogrammed attire. Red Threads Apparel is located at 16 Square Unit 8 in downtown Jacksonville on the Square. Their business hours are Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. For more information on Red Threads powered by O-Brand, visit their Facebook page at O-Brand Marketing or call 256-770-9880. Stress of Jacksonville has been serving the Jacksonville community for over a decade. They are located at 500 Forney Avenue, right next to the cockpit. Strutt serves wings, beer, and more. Their business hours are Sunday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m., and Friday and Saturday, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. To place a to-go order, please call 256-782-0106. For more information, go to struttswings.com.
Welcome back to the Hey Techies Show.
Having a great time.
Yeah, Bruce.
Oh.
Well, he is a graduate of Jefferson Davis Community College and the University of Alabama, has won multiple local and state science Olympiads in the subject of meteorology. He has worked at WVUA 23 TV in Tuscaloosa and Birmingham, as well as a local radio station in Bruton. But now in 2015, he launched Red Zone Group. Welcome to the Hey Techies Show, Spinks Meganson. How you doing tonight?
Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
I'm well. How are y'all?
Great.
Fantastic.
Great, fantastic. Well, my name's Michael.
I'm Bruce.
And I'm the guru.
Yeah, and
All right.
we make up the Hey Techies Show. Look, I wanted to tell you what happened this past Monday. You had a pretty eventful Monday. And,
to say the least, yeah.
Yeah, right. And so what happened was the guru, I was at home, like you were saying, President's Day. I had to be home with the kids. And the guru sent me a text. He said, you got to check out this guy. He's doing live weather radar, severe weather online. And I said, really? So we're always interested in that kind of thing because we are, we're nerdy and geeky in that way. And I got to tell you, I watched the entire day as long as you were up. I actually have an aunt that lives down in Mobile, and so it interested me a good bit. But what interests me the most is that you were doing it so well. I mean, it was really well done. It was captivating me. You were covering all of the things you would normally see a regular television station cover, that type of severe weather coverage, and it was very interesting to say the very least. And so I sent you a message during the show. When you were on, actually, and you said, hey, let me get through this and I'll get back to you. But we're so glad to have you on. Now, let me ask you this starting off. How did you come about wanting to do this? Is this something you've always wanted to do? Has just been part of you?
Well, growing up, I always wanted to be a broadcast meteorologist. And from the time I was 5 years old, we have a video of me pointing to a whiteboard and wanting to be a weatherman. And so even when I was young, I always knew that I wanted to do something related to meteorology and broadcasting and that sort of thing. And I ended up going to Alabama, like you said, and I graduated in 2014. And I was going to get a TV job. And I actually had a television job being the weekend meteorologist at WVUA 23 that is in the Birmingham TV market. And that was great experience. I learned a lot. Fantastic local station there based in Tuscaloosa, actually inside the stadium there. And from there, I actually had sort of a different calling. I think there's more to life than your dreams sometimes. And I always had a dream of being a meteorologist. But I felt called to be a youth pastor at that point in my hometown of Bruton. And so that's where I live now. And I've been a youth pastor full-time for about 18 months now since I graduated from Alabama. And it's been great. But I decided to start Red Zone Group LLC last year in March to, quote unquote, keep my feet wet in this broadcast meteorology world. But what I didn't realize at the time, naively I guess you could say, is that this has become something that will likely be a full-time job in the next few months. And like you said, TV is great, and there are many, many people, especially in this market where I am in Mobile, Pensacola television market, that still watch TV. But you're right, the cord cutters are going to need somewhere to go for accurate, reliable, severe weather coverage. And not only severe weather coverage, but daily weather coverage. Weather is something that affects all of our lives, and you've always got to have a meteorologist, no doubt about it. I mean, the smartphone apps, y'all know the deal with those. There's no human input whatsoever. When you go to the stock weather app on your iPhone, all you see is model data. It's the model output statistics, essentially. And so what I'm trying to convince people is, hey, we've got a product here that not only has human input, it's also someone who knows the geography and the culture of South Alabama. I'm one of you, and I want to be your meteorologist. And so that's a little bit about how Red Zone Weather started back last year.
Okay, so I guess you have this. I don't want to be ignorant to say a building. I know it's in a building, but it's in a if it's in your home or whatever. But you obviously you have Max. I could tell at least.
Yep.
What is the back end that runs your weather end? The actual radar, the map, not the radar, but the maps. I know you're pulling your radar from different sites.
So the software is built by a guy very near Atlanta. And what I do is, like you said, I have Max, and we've got 4 computers now. And without getting into the nitty-gritty details, you've got the camera, which, of course, faces me on the green wall there, very similar to how they do it in TV. And the radar data behind me is actually pulled from the publicly available NEXRAD radars. We actually have 5 in the state of Alabama. Of course, your radar is the Birmingham radar, but here in Bruton, we have the Mobile area radar, and that's at the Mobile Regional Airport. But coming to the point of being able to have this stream quality, what it is today, was not an easy process, and there was a lot of trial and error. And our first severe weather event was actually on December 20th, December 23rd, something like that. And since that time, this is unbelievable, we've had like 8 severe weather events. Before that, we didn't have any since the founding of the company. And so in the past few weeks, I've been incredibly busy, to say the least, not only trying to refine the live feed and get that where it needs to be, but also, advertising the company and building the brand. And so that's a little bit about how the sausage is made, per se. Okay.
Unless you don't want to tell us, which would be totally all right with me, I totally understand. I don't want to get him trade secrets here. But it's like asking the magician how the magic works, right? What about a camera? What kind of camera are you using?
That's a perfectly fine question. The camera is actually not anything special at all. It's a home camcorder Sony video camera that I purchased from Best Buy. It's nothing special. The key is the chroma key system is what gives me fits.
Correct.
And the lighting on the wall can be just a nightmare at times. Even now, after you get everything adjusted. You walk in one day, it's great. You walk in the next day, depending on what you're wearing, and it can look totally different. And so it's just a basic camera and nothing fancy at all.
Okay. So you're really all your back end is just really software. Do you have a hardware switcher or anything like that, or is it all just software?
Yeah. So we use a hardware encoding system.
Okay.
That's available online, and that's where everything comes together, and it outputs to our YouTube stream, which is what you watched and what
Sure.
many people watch on Monday. And so we do hardware encoding, and I did some playing around with software encoding and found that just was not the quality that I wanted. And so hardware encoding is the way to go in terms of live video, and at least in my perspective.
Yeah, I agree. And you would need something that's moving pretty fast, pretty fast frames per second because of the video changing, having the rotation of the radar, that kind of thing. So yeah, it would look very jumpy. Yeah, I agree with you there. So, well, Guru, I think you had a question you wanted to get off here.
I started spouting off questions to you, Michael, when we first confirmed this interview. And I'm trying to think what I gave them to you. I was hoping you would.
Well,
put them down.
one thing I know we want to know is, at least I want to know. I don't remember if Guru brought this up. How do you sustain this? I know through advertising, but have you got a plan that you've thought of? Maybe.
Yeah, that's a great question. And I'll be honest, when I first started this whole thing, I did it, like I said, to keep my feet wet. And I love weather. And at the end of the day, even if I don't make any money off this, I'm going to keep doing it just because we've had a tremendous amount of positive feedback in the community and really across the state and region. And so this is something that I feel extremely passionate about. And so it's going to continue regardless of if we make money or not. But the good news is people are really starting to buy into the whole new media thing. And I took a fantastic class at Alabama. It was actually called New Media, and it talked about the problem of monetizing content on social media. And what I'm trying to do is not only develop a product that helps people in terms of getting weather content out, but I also want to make something that does have the potential to generate a little revenue. And so right now we crank out a morning video, and it's posted every morning between basically 7 and 7:30 in the morning. And it talks about the weather forecast and current weather conditions sometimes for Southwest Alabama and Northwest Florida. The idea is to expand that at some point, not only across the state, but potentially across the region and maybe even the nation one day. And so that's a little bit about our current advertising situation. Right now we have one sponsor, but after our December 28th event, when we had many, many tornado warnings across South Alabama, I had 20-plus people call me or text me or get in touch with me about wanting to be a sponsor for Red Zone Weather. And so at that point, I said, well, I probably need to sit down and make a plan of action on how we're going to go forward in terms of generating revenue. And so at this point, I've got a catalog of items that folks can sponsor or buy into per se. And, we can put logos up. We can have pre-roll intros on our video and that sort of thing. And in terms of people watching, the brand is growing every single day, and the reach is growing as well. And so that's good momentum, and I want to keep that up. Even on blue sky weather days, that's going to be a big challenge, especially this summer when the weather pattern will obviously be very predictable. But that's where we're headed from here.
Yeah, that was one of my questions actually, was how you were if you were planning to expand this, but kind of go back a little bit. I know we're in central Alabama, and this area is famous for James Spann. You probably have heard of James Spann before. And James Spann is a fixture in this part of the state. And he's when there's tornado warnings in this part of the state, I see you go James Spann. I see you go watch. That's like everybody goes watch. So I'm curious, how well do the TV market down there, I guess you're under the Mobile television market, how well does it cover like the Bruton and the areas you serve? Is it just as good as that, not as good? I'm just trying to figure out, maybe you said you wanted to keep your feet wet, but I was thinking maybe your motivation for this was maybe they underserved this rural area of Alabama possibly.
That is a fantastic point. And, when I lived in central Alabama, James Spann was and is the man. He does a fantastic job. I know James personally. I've met him several times, and he has given me wisdom and insight over the years that I certainly appreciate. He's a fantastic guy. And unfortunately, in this market, Mobile, Pensacola, we don't have not only someone that is the go-to guy, but we also don't have good severe weather coverage. And so that was another motivation for starting this company. Unfortunately, there's just no one go-to place for the market. And these guys cover, the metropolitan areas of Mobile and Pensacola, but in terms of rural areas, like you said, Brewton, Thomasville, Monroeville, Evergreen, these folks don't get coverage, and it's a shame is what it is. And so I'm out to change that. And in the process, if it wakes some folks up and we get, tornado warning coverage for every county in the market, that's great. I think that will save lives. And so maybe that will be kind of a side benefit on a dying industry in TV. So does that sort of answer the question?
Absolutely. And, you said it because, traditional media, television is dying. I said that to Michael today. I said, this guy's got it figured out. He's in new media. He's out there. But it just impressed me because I was at work and I had you on in the background because I saw on Facebook during lunch, you were fixing to go live, and I pulled up on my phone and I went upstairs to my office and I pulled it up and had it on the background. I was like, this guy is serious. He knows his stuff. It's like James Spann younger version. I mean, am I right, Michael?
Yeah.
I mean, I was like, this is great because for somebody that when it's one thing for your smartphone or you to get a weather warning from the EMA or something, but to know where is it at. We know the polygons and we know am I in the polygon or not. But if I'm in it, you still, to me, I want to be able to have a human being tell me, hey, this is where it's going. And that's exactly what you're doing, and you're doing an awesome job.
Speaking of that,
I greatly appreciate that. Thank you.
Oh, I apologize. I interrupted you there, my friend. Speaking of that, we're fixing to go to a break just a second, and we certainly hope you can hold over through it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. But here's what I want to ask you now that I just thought of something. What about the talking to the weather service? I noticed you chat with them. Is that hard to get? I mean, not everybody does that. So how do you get started? I'm not asking you to give the whole detail, but is it a tough deal to get started in, to be able to, you have to be proved that that's what you're doing? You see what I'm saying?
You do. And that's actually a tool that I received approval for when I did a news package with the National Weather Service office in Birmingham. And it's called NWS Chat, but you have to be affiliated with the media or an EMA director or a weather service employee or that sort of thing. And so there is a verification process involved, and you have to submit credentials. And if I'm not mistaken, I had to also send in, verification and from WVUA as well. And so I maintain a relationship with WVUA. I actually do fill-in work on a fairly regular basis there. And also I've done news packages over the past 18 months since I left as sort of a guest contributor type thing. And so with that comes the privilege, I guess you would say, of having this wonderful tool where we can directly chat with the National Weather Service. And that is invaluable for us in the media. It is tremendous privilege to have unfiltered access to their thoughts and what they're thinking, and if they're going to extend a warning or expire a warning or that sort of thing. And so in severe weather events, that is proved to be a tool that is invaluable.
All right. Well, we're going to cut to our quick patron break. And when we come back, we're going to talk more to Spinks, possibly about his UAV and some of his other projects going on. Be right back.
Tech questions? We have answers. Give us a call, 256-782-5600.
Jacksonville Bookstore offers supplies for school all throughout the year. From books to binders, pencils to Scantrons, Jacksonville Bookstore has it all. They are open Monday through Saturday with convenient hours and location on 302 Mountain Street Northwest in Jacksonville. To find out more, like them on Facebook or call 256-435-7407. Jacksonville Bookstore, a proud patron of WLJS.
Gamecock Outfitters, located on the square at 109 Ladiga Street in Jacksonville, provides customers with outdoor apparel and gear. Gamecock Outfitters is able to help you find exactly what you need for every outdoor adventure. Gamecock Outfitters is open Tuesday through Friday from 10 o'clock to 5:30 and Saturday from 10 o'clock to 5 o'clock. For additional information, contact them at 256-435-2008 or check out their website at GadsdenOutfitters.com.
Jacksonville Tan is a proud patron of WLJS, serving Jacksonville and surrounding areas since 1987. At their location at 115 Francis Street East, next to Walgreens. Jacksonville Tan knows a thing or two about healthy glow, offering 16 tanning beds and virtually no wait times. A great tan is never out of the question. For more info, call them at 256-435-1770.
This is 91.9 FM, WLJS Jacksonville, your cure for common radio.
Welcome back into the Hey Techies Show. A little YMCA there. Well, we want to welcome back everybody who's listening, and also Spinks Meganson. He is our guest right now. And as we left, we were talking a little bit about the National Weather Service and speaking to them. And also, I noticed that you did some UAV, as we call it, or some people call it a drone. You did some, I guess, damage. You went and took some footage of the damage?
That's exactly right. I did. I went down to Century, Florida, and Fulmerton, Alabama, which is in the southern side of Escambia County yesterday, or I guess it was the day before yesterday to see the damage from the air, and it is horrendous. The folks down there need our thoughts and prayers, and I know that several organizations, even in central Alabama, the Tumors for Tuscaloosa group has posted several times about donating supplies for those in need, and certainly just a tremendous opportunity. Of course, central Alabama has been affected by all these tornadoes over the past few years, especially in 2011, and certainly an opportunity for us to step up to the plate and give back to the folks there in Fulmerton and Century.
Our silent partner, Bruce, he was wanting to know if you have to have a like a commercial license, a license for UAV.
Since you're using that.
So the way that works is, and if you noticed in the video that I posted on Facebook, and even the video that I posted this evening on Twitter and Instagram, the copyright is to me, Spinks Meganson, and I have to be very intentional about that.
Sure.
Because I own the drone. It is not the property of Red Zone Group LLC, and you're exactly right. You do have to have a license. It's called a Section 333 exemption from the FAA if your company uses a drone. And so you see all these television stations using drone footage. In fact, WKRG News 5 in the Mobile market picked up the footage from Red Zone Weather the other day. But they actually have to get an exemption a waiver from the person that they're using the footage for to say that this was not done for profit and that sort of thing. So it seems like the FAA has a pretty tight grip on the situation with drones. I don't know that much about it. I just it's kind of a hobby that I do. So I certainly am not making any profit off of it. And like I said, I don't know that much about it, but those are the basics from what I understand.
Well, it looks like to me you can fly it fairly well. I mean,
well, I appreciate that. Yeah, it's a pretty easy thing to fly. I was a bit surprised. I have a DJI advanced drone, I think is what they call it. It's you can buy it at Best Buy, and it's a nifty little thing to say the least. And it lasts about 23 minutes is the battery length before you have to land it. But it's a neat little gadget, and I think it's going to be very handy, especially in damage assessment for severe weather in the future. So I certainly appreciate y'all watching that.
Yeah, it was great footage.
It was great.
We had a question in the chat room. This is not drone related, but somebody in our chat on the Google Hangouts said, could you ask him about model forecasting and a bit about the differences in models? Also, how and if we will update weather satellites. I don't know if you can answer the second part, but
yeah, good question. So the models, and let me be clear about what I use on a daily basis, and sort of what the industry, the broadcast television industry, I should say, uses also. I have access to the global forecast system, the North American model, and several other models through this software vendor that I use from the greater Atlanta area. And so the deal is you've got models that are refreshed sometimes as quickly as once per hour. That would be the high-resolution rapid refresh model, or HER as it's called. But the GFS and the NAM are two different models that I use on a daily basis to forecast weather. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, GFS and NAM are also publicly available on the web via several sites. And so if you do a quick Google search, that's where you can find that data if you want to see the raw data. But those are two models that we use here at Red Zone Weather. When I was at WVUA, the weather company behind their graphics is called Weather Central, and Weather Central was actually acquired by WSI, which is another
WSI,
vendor.
yep.
But they have access to proprietary models and that sort of thing that I don't have access to, like the RPM and several others. But when you see, like I said, the iPhone numbers, the temperature forecast that it spits out anytime you look at it, you're looking at model output statistics. That's all it is the model is saying, okay, the temperature at X location will be, this temperature at a certain time. And the problem with that is the models don't take into account, here's just one example that will kill your forecast in the middle of summer. Sometimes when soil is saturated, temperatures can be cooler than what models are suggesting. And so that's just one of the many, many things that can happen in terms of the iPhone app that can, have your temperature forecast off in your app. And so that's why it's critically important to have human input. And that's why I believe that the art of meteorology and meteorologists will be around for a long time, even after the demise of television.
Now, where do you? Yeah, I agree. I agree with you on that, by the way. But where do you find yourself in this predicament, in a way, about how not to step on feet when going about this? Because I noticed the other night you were real careful to not cover weather in another market. I noticed you did a really good job about it, by the way. But how do you feel going forward? Is there going to be a point to where that's not going to matter, you think? Markets?
Yeah, well, and the deal with that is I can cover whatever area I want to, and anyone can. But the reason I'm trying to stick to my county and points north, west, and south, and not counties to the east, mainly is because our National Weather Service county warning area, the designated counties that the National Weather Service office in Mobile covers, are those counties. And so having to navigate through covering counties to the east would involve having data from the National Weather Service in Tallahassee. And so that means monitoring multiple NWS chat rooms and that sort of thing. And it can be done, and it will be done. But for now, I'm trying to be very hyper-local, and that's a word that I use more and more each day. When we want weather coverage, we want it hyper-local, and to have these broad strokes of weather that you see on national weather channels and that sort of thing, I think that's a dying breed.
Yeah,
and I hope that people will realize, we need someone who knows not only the geography and culture, but knows familiar weather patterns for our area.
Yeah, I meant to ask you. You brought something up to my mind again. Do you just go around, drive the streets, or do you read the map, get an atlas out, and just read the map? I mean, how do you study up to know all those different places? I know you live there,
mm-hmm. But he knows where all the barbecue joints are, like James Spann does.
Yeah. Look, James Spann is incredible, and he does a fantastic job knowing geography in his market. And like you said, he's the go-to guy, and so I was inspired by that. And one of the things that has helped me tremendously, and this would probably sound trivial to most people, but when I was a kid, my dad actually played softball, and he traveled all around this region. And when I say kid, I'm talking when I was, 5, 6, 7, 8 years old. And so he would take me to these softball games, and that sort of enabled me to, I guess, subconsciously and consciously observe the roadways and these little nick and crannies that no one really knows exist. And so that was tremendously beneficial. And it's amazing that, even something that many years ago, I'm 24 years old now, and even something, back then is helping me now in this endeavor. And I feel very thankful for that. But another thing is when I got older, of course, I traveled to Tuscaloosa just about every other weekend because I had this, like I said, I'm a youth pastor now, and I had an internship here in Brewton that enabled me to get this job. And so I did a tremendous amount of traveling across the state of Alabama as well. And so I think just being mobile and being observant, when you go down these back roads and that sort of thing, that's what helped me tremendously. And don't get me wrong, I certainly have, an atlas and that sort of thing, and I did growing up as well. But I think just being there and seeing these actual locations is what really stuck out in my mind.
Yeah, immersing yourself in the area, absolutely. Yeah, no
absolutely.
Question. Yeah. Speaking of the National Weather Service, something just hit me, and I don't know why I didn't think about it before. What is keeping them from doing this? I mean, they've got all the data. What is keeping them from doing an online type thing where they,
right.
I know they have a deal with many of the meteorologists around the country, but it makes me wonder at some point if things cannot sustain itself. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. It's just a thought.
Right. Yeah, I don't know the answer to that question, honestly.
That's fine.
And I would assume that being that they're the authority on issuing weather warnings, that maybe there's a conflict of interest there in terms of being, a profit-driven entity. I don't know, but, it's a good point. There are many, many weather forecast offices across the nation, and that is, and this is a discussion for another time, because obviously there's many things in the government that aren't going well, but I think these weather forecast offices across the nation are doing an incredible job of not only issuing timely warnings and that sort of thing, but also in recent years they've done a tremendous job of doing public outreach, not only to the general public, but also in combination with media partners to educate folks on not only exactly what to do during tornadoes, but also these other natural disasters, tsunamis, blizzards, hurricanes, that sort of thing. And so we actually are in the midst of Severe Weather Awareness Week here in Alabama, and that's just one of the many things that the Weather Service does each year to educate folks on what to do during these terrible storms.
Well, now I may have this wrong, but now I was under the impression that they were trying to reduce down on the amount of offices they have and put more areas to less offices. Have you heard that too? I'd heard that was a possibility.
Yeah, the only thing I can remember was a certain presidential candidate who has now suspended his campaign back in the late part of the 2000s decade. I think it was like 2007. He's a senator, or he was a senator, I should say, from Pennsylvania. And by the way, AccuWeather, a private company, is based in Pennsylvania as well. And he was actually pushing to do something to the effect of dissolving the Weather Service and using private companies to do the same thing they do. And I could have the details wrong on that to a certain extent, but that's the general gist of what was happening. And I haven't heard what you said in terms of consolidating offices, but I think I would be vehemently against anything like that, and I think most meteorologists around the nation would as well. These guys put forth a tremendous amount of time, effort, dedication to their respective areas, and I am forever appreciative not only of our local weather service here in Mobile, but the guys at NWS Birmingham, Jim Stefkovich is the meteorologist in charge there, and he does a fantastic job. He has done a fantastic job of getting the false alarm rate down with tornado warnings and increasing POD, probability of detection, and that sort of thing. And so, I would be vehemently against that. And like I said, I think most meteorologists around the nation would as well.
The polygon. Now that's
the polygon.
Now that's really come a long way. That's been
Absolutely.
a big improvement. Can you tell us just a minute or two about what you've learned using the polygon?
Yeah, well, the polygon system was implemented now about 8 years ago, and it has been tremendous. The beauty of it is when a respective area is under the threat of severe weather, only that specific part of the county that is affected goes under the warning. And so it's especially great for tornado warnings when you have, just like what we had this past week with Century and Fulmerton and Bruton under the gun, folks in Atmore, which is another sizable city in our county, they didn't have a threat, and so they didn't get the warning. And one thing along those notes with these polygons, we've got these new wireless emergency alerts, or WEAs, and that's the thing that causes your smartphone to ring very loudly, even if it's on silent, to let you know that you're in the path of a potential tornado. And so even during the live broadcast, you can go back and look. This loud wireless emergency alert, when it was put out by the Weather Service, it was astoundingly loud, even through our microphone. And so I think that's going to save lives. It already has saved lives, but it will continue to do so in the future. That's the beauty of the polygon system.
Okay. Well, you got to...
I can't think of anything else. You've covered a lot of stuff,
well, we
Michael.
have covered a lot. We're so glad.
Well, look, I love, talking about weather, and I'm a weather geek, weather nerd, and proud of it. Anything tech-related I love, and so I love what you guys are doing there in Central Alabama. I think it's great, and I know that your listening audience, of course, certainly appreciates it as well. It's really cool.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, we appreciate that.
Yeah, we started back in May of last year, so this is episode 41. So we've only got a few more weeks.
Very cool.
Well, a couple of months. I shouldn't say that. So in May, it'll be the first week in May. We'll have a year under our belt. So here it.
Very cool.
So anyway, now I wanted to talk a second, if we could, about. We talked about where you think it might be going, but. What are your thoughts on actually finishing your I have lost the train of thought. I apologize, Spinks.
That's okay.
It just left you.
I know what I want to say.
Right.
I mean, I'm thinking about cord cutting. When are you going to cover our area so I have a channel to tune into?
That's what I was going to get to.
Yeah.
It is about cord cutting. Do you think that this is definitely – we talked a little bit about it, but this you're certainly moving to that area to try to cover that part, right? I mean, that's what you want to do.
Yeah, and like I said, one of the reasons that I felt very strongly about doing this here is because you guys in Central Alabama, like you said, you've got James Spann, you've got J.P. Dice, you've got Richard Scott. These guys do a tremendous job of covering every single county in the Birmingham market whenever there's a tornado warning, and that is fantastic. You've got market saturation in terms of that across the board at each station, and so I don't know to answer your question. It could be next year. It could be 5 years from now. I just don't know, but I do think as more and more people cut the cord and realize that paying $100 a month for a television subscription is just ridiculous, I think that we will potentially see explosive growth, or at least that's my hope. I hope and pray that happens. And so it's an exciting opportunity.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And maybe I'll screw my head back on right, and I'll be able to answer.
That's all right. That's all right. No worries.
I really thought that you were doing, like I said, I really thought you were doing an excellent job the other night. I was taken back. I was captivated to watch because it was, he was telling everybody, about the helmet. You were telling everybody about the helmet. Wear your helmet. Oh, you had it all lined up. You even had some graphics on the screen. I thought y'all have really done a lot of work, and it looks like a lot of work's been put into it to get this looking right.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we launched on May 18th, 2015, almost a year ago now, I dedicated about 4 months of time building these graphics and putting a lot of time into getting everything just right. I'm not interested in having a product that not only looks bad, but also people don't want to see. I mean, that's not fun. Who wants to do that? And
Right.
so I tried to put in as much time as I could on the front end to get this thing right and built, like it should be, have a strong foundation per se. And I think that people have really responded well to that, and I certainly appreciate that. One of the services that we employ is a texting solution. And so anytime we have severe weather, and even when we don't have severe weather every few days, I'll send out a text update to the hundreds of folks now that are on our service with our live stream link or with a link to our Facebook post. And that is just another method of getting the information out that is new media based. And in combination with our website, I really think that over the next few months that hopefully the growth and momentum will only continue.
Now, you've got some folks helping you. Who is that? You've got producer,
Yeah.
I think? Or
That's right. So I've got two people that help me now, and Bruce Thompson is our chief legal officer. He's an attorney, and I've trained him on how to use our system, and also Lee Margaret Vostick, who's a personal friend. She does a fantastic job producing our graphics during severe weather events and that sort of thing. And so they've been a tremendous help, and this live stream, especially on Monday, would not have been possible without their input, collaboration, and help. And so I'm very grateful to both of them.
now, what's your website?
It's rzweather.com, but the deal with the website is it's still under construction. So it's up, and obviously I wanted it up, especially for this live stream, but it's still very much under construction at this point.
Right. I did notice that, and that is a good point. You're also on Facebook and Twitter. Can be found if you look those up. RV Weather.
Right. Right, and that's something that I try to do from the get-go as well. The handle is consistent across the board. It's at RZ Weather, like Red Zone Weather. And so that's on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat. And Snapchat is one of those things that I think is really neat and has a lot of potential. And we don't post content that much on Snapchat at the moment, but I'm hoping in the months ahead, as hopefully momentum will continue, that we can begin to post on that thing even during severe weather events. Because let's be honest, what are people doing during the day? They're looking at social media. They're not going to a website. And so I think it's just yet another opportunity to engage with folks on a daily basis that they're already tuned into, per se.
Yeah. RZ Weather, as in
That's
Zulu.
right.
Okay.
That's right.
Now,
Red Zone Weather.
Yeah, Red Zone. Now, Snapchat, it erases, right? I mean, it doesn't stay up very long.
Well, I mean, if somebody sees it, they can replay it once.
I don't know. I don't have Snapchat. All these younger people do Snapchat.
All these young whippersnappers.
Yeah, like Spinks, who's 20 years younger than I. Oh, my goodness. I kind of thought you were somewhere around 23 or 24 when I saw when you graduated high school. So
Yeah, just turned 24. And so hopefully, making something that will not only help folks out, but they also enjoy in the months and years ahead.
Well, look, we're going to let you go and have the rest of your evening since it's almost 8 o'clock. And we really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for calling. And hopefully we'll get to talk to you again sometime.
Absolutely.
Yeah, look, I really appreciate y'all. I mean, this has been great. And I certainly appreciate anyone who takes the time to talk to me. So I hope that this has been beneficial for everyone who's listening. And obviously we will hope for the best in terms of no severe weather in the next few months as we enter our primary severe weather season.
But if we do, maybe we can check back in with you about the severe. Man,
it's not your night.
It isn't severe weather. Some other time.
Yeah, you have an open invitation to come back.
Yeah,
on anytime.
absolutely. Yeah.
Well, look, I really appreciate that, and I'll certainly be in touch. Thank y'all for having me.
Thank you.
All right, Spinks, you take care, buddy.
All right, thanks. Y'all too.
All right, bye-bye.
Man, sounds just like a young James Spann.
Yeah.
It's scary.
Yeah.
Honestly. Like, that's all I was thinking the whole time. He's going to be something great.
Yeah,
so.
absolutely. Guru, I can't see the clock. How much time we got left? About a minute.
About
okay.
a minute.
Well, thanks so much for listening to us. And
stay tuned for our
we
dose.
Got our dose, and it's going to be a doozy.
Yes, it is.
I have no doubt. But thanks so much to Spinks Meganson, and we appreciate him calling in and learning about what he does down
RZ Weather.
My mic's turned off. He can be the Hey Techies weather guru.
Well,
How
we'll
about
see.
There you go.
Yeah. We got
These
us
are
an
our-
airplane pilot.
Yeah,
so.
we got an airplane
That's right.
pilot.
We got to have all bases covered,
Yeah.
right?
We got a LA weather guy.
What? Lower Alabama. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that
That's
LA.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that LA.
I was thinking of Johnny Jet for a minute because he lives in
Yeah.
LA.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
So,
LA.
well, awesome. Man, getting excited. Rant time.
Yeah, it's rant time coming up.
Make
for
sure
our
that
dose.
make sure that primer on the 7-second delay is ready to go.
I sure hope we don't have to use
I
it.
hope not either, but who knows?
256-782-5600, and we can line up your call to talk with us tonight.
Also,
on
Facebook, Twitter,
Hey-
HeyTechiesShow.com.
Yep. And-
Instagram, Snapchat, yeah.
No Snapchat.
we don't have any of that. Yeah. Don't talk back. Be right back. Hour number
Dose.
You've listened this long, so stick around for our dose.
Live from NPR News in Washington, I'm Janine Herbst. Pope Francis says Donald Trump's goal of building a wall between the United States and Mexico is not Christian. As NPR's Scott Detrow reports, Trump isn't backing down, calling the papal critique disgraceful.
Francis had highlighted the plight of immigrants during this week's trip to Mexico, which included a visit to the U.S.-Mexico border. He told reporters that, quote, thinks only about building walls, not Christian. Trump responded sharply during a South Carolina campaign stop.
If and when the Vatican is attacked by ISIS, which, as everyone knows, is ISIS's ultimate trophy, I can promise you that the Pope would have only wished and prayed that Donald Trump would have been president.
Trump also suggested the Mexican government had put Francis up to criticizing the Republicans' call for a wall on the U.S.-Mexico border. Scott Detrow, NPR News.
President Obama is making a historic visit to Cuba next month, becoming the first sitting president in some 90 years to visit that country. NPR's Scott Horsley reports the thaw between the two countries started 14 months ago.
Since that time, the president has shaken hands with Cuban President Raul Castro at a hemispheric summit meeting in Panama. The administration has also been relaxing travel and trade restrictions on Cuba. And just this week, Transportation Secretary Anthony Fox was in Havana talking about a resumption of scheduled air traffic between the U.S. and Cuba.
NPR's Scott Horsley reporting. White House Deputy National Security Advisor Ben Rhodes says the U.S. still has serious differences with President Raul Castro's government, and he says President Obama will raise issues of human rights and political freedoms when he meets with him. More people are complaining about airlines, although airlines are showing slight improvements in on-time performance and other services. NPR's David Shaper reports consumer complaints filed with the government soared almost 30% last year.
Ask anyone, how was your flight, and you'll likely hear some kind of complaint. It was late, my luggage was lost, no legroom, and now a growing number of airline passengers aren't just sounding off to friends and family, but are filing official complaints with the government. The U.S. Department of Transportation's Aviation Consumer Protection Division reports that it received more than 20,000 complaints against airlines last year, compared to more than 15,000 in 2014. The most frequent complaints are about flights being delayed and canceled and luggage that is lost or damaged. Even though government figures show airlines slightly improved on-time performance last year and lost fewer bags. David Shaper, NPR News, Chicago.
Asia markets are trading lower at this hour. The Nikkei in Japan down 1.8%. The Hang Seng down more than 0.5%. Wall Street also lower by the bell. This is NPR.
Technologic.
Crash it, change it, melt, upgrade it, charge it, point it, zoom it, press it, snap it, work it, quick erase it, write it, cut it, paste it, save it, load it, check it, quick rewrite it, plug it, play it, burn it, rip it, drag it, drop it, zip and zip it, lock it.
Welcome to the Hey Techies Show. for our number
dose,
and we're so glad to
Getting
have
heated
everybody in with us tonight.
At least the conversation's going to get heated up. This room sure isn't.
Are you cold?
Man, I've been.
I'm actually
I
not.
feel comfortable.
I'll say this
tonight.
for the past at least 2 weeks, my core has been cold, and I'm never cold.
Yeah.
And for some reason, I have just.
It is winter.
I don't know. Normally I'm never cold, but I can't get warm for some reason. I'll have my heater on in my office. As soon as it goes off, it's like I'm an icicle.
Warm heart, cold body.
Sure.
Yeah.
So
the
moment we've all been waiting for.
Okay.
I don't know if
we're going
everybody's been waiting for it, but
we're shutting it down, going off the air.
Yeah.
That's the moment everybody's been waiting for.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.
No, man. So
who wants to start off the trouble?
You started some off, Michael. Kind of background for those who've been living under a rock all week.
This is a bunch of bull.
Actually, nobody's been living under a rock this week.
Yeah.
Unless they just don't care about it, which there is that side of life. They just, I don't care. Well, some people have other type phones, or they don't have a smartphone at all, or,
this is still
important. I understand that, Bruce,
Period.
but I'm telling you, there are a lot of people that have no clue and could care less. If it didn't make it on TMZ, I mean, it may have. I didn't see, but they probably don't know.
But for those who do not know.
But if you don't know, Apple is now fighting a battle with the FBI over whether or not they should write a new piece of software.
No. Let's simplify it first. Let's just say exactly what they're asking.
They're asking them to write a piece of code or software to circumvent the security on the phone.
Yes,
that's the.
But let's make it even more simpler than that.
Okay,
they are asking for a company. Well, no, I'm not even going to that company. They're just asking to break encryption. What? Get ready? What?
I said get ready on that button. But now, wait a minute. I don't know about. I know you can say it's encryption, but really what they're trying to do is get a way to bypass.
They're looking for a backdoor
to the passcode. Yes,
they're
they
asking
are, but
the
they're
company
not
to deliberately put a backdoor in.
Well, no,
their device.
Hang on.
Whether this is a one-time use, it's never a one-time use.
Yeah, that's a whole.
But I think we should have our terminology correct.
Well, let's take a step back.
Yeah, I mean, I agree.
All right, let's take a step back.
But that's exactly what they're doing. They're asking for a backdoor.
Yes.
But here's the thing.
It might be the front door.
If you have
Who cares?
If you have an iPhone that has iOS 8 or later, which the most current version is 9 dot something. Anyway, iOS 8 introduced encryption, and it's encrypted
By default.
By default, yes. I don't know if you can even turn that off. But anyway, if you lock your phone with a passcode,
why would you?
If it's locked with a passcode or your fingerprint, the contents like your pictures and any like notes, anything that's stored on the device is encrypted.
So
whether or not you're sending it to the cloud or not, what's on your device is encrypted.
Since I don't have an iPhone, if I lock my phone with just my fingerprint, do I have to have a passcode on top of that?
Yes.
Okay, so it works exactly like my phone.
Right. That's just I can unlock mine with a fingerprint or a passcode.
Now, what about when you restart your phone?
You have to put your passcode in the first time.
And because the
Touch ID doesn't work.
Touch
on
ID
reboot.
does not work. Okay,
correct.
Exactly like mine.
All right. So
we're on the same page.
Here's the thing. Also, if it's enabled, and I think it may be default, but if you miss your passcode 10 times in a row, means you mess it up 10 times in a row, it wipes all your data off the phone.
Yep.
That's a security feature.
Yep.
In case your iPhone falls into
security necessity.
Yes,
not
absolutely.
a feature. I would
so
say
what the FBI has got a judge to issue a court order to Apple to write a modified version of the OS to basically turn off this 10-time wipe your data feature and to also allow the FBI to put in the passcode through an external device at a high rate of speed.
Yeah.
So
they're not time limited.
Yeah. Well, not necessarily not time limited.
But
they can you can do a lot faster than having somebody sit there and try 0000001.
If it's 4.
So
exactly. let's give some backstory on this.
So that's the deal.
This is the phone that was in the possession of, I forget his whole name, but Farouk is his last name.
Yes.
Skyhook.
Skyhook?
Just kidding.
It was like Skyhook Farouk. I don't know.
I can't remember the name, but he was one of the people with the San Bernardino shootings.
Yes.
That our federal government's calling terrorism.
Yes.
So they're investigating. They have possession of this guy's iPhone.
Well, hold on. They had possession
Of an iPhone he had.
iPhone
It was
he
owned
had.
by the county government because I think he worked for some part of that San Bernardino
It's
County.
probably somewhere in all this information.
It
I
is.
have.
There is. I mean, you can go out and find tons of information about this. But anyway, this was his issued company device. It was an iPhone 5C.
Yep.
And they got a hold of it, and the FBI has it, and they want to see what's on it. And I
Yeah.
understand for the purpose of investigation, they want to be able to have all the facts, all the evidence.
Because they did such a great job, securing his dwelling.
Anyway,
I'm just
everybody in their
So here's the
their
thing.
brother in the ice cream man was walking
We've
around
already
in there.
said that the court order is basically telling Apple, you must work with us to give us a way to do such and such, turn off this protection, delete the data, and all that. In order to do that, it would require Apple to basically make a modified version of iOS, the operating
Essentially,
system
yeah.
that runs on your phone.
That's what they're wanting to do.
And even though the phone's locked, there is a way you can load an OS outside of it being locked.
Yeah.
But the trick is that OS has to
Has to be signed.
Has to be signed by Apple.
Yep.
Because I have firsthand experience. One time I put a beta version of iOS on my personal phone.
Yeah.
And it was a very beta version, so it was very flaky.
Yes.
And I was able to go and wipe my device and put the most current production stable version of iOS, and Apple signed it, so everything was good. Now, but that's the problem is this special version. Anybody could write the special version, but if Apple has not signed it and gave it their seal of approval, you can't load it on this device.
Yep. So this is my thing. Like normally, a court could come in and say, "You have this information. You have to hand it over." The thing is, Apple doesn't currently have this. They're asking them to create this, which is creating. You can say they have all the money in the world. It's creating an unnecessary burden on Apple.
Yes.
Plain and simple.
And I mean, you can go back. I found an article from October of last year, and I think even further back, Tim Cook, the CEO of Apple, has went on television and interview in the press saying that, when they did the encryption on iOS 8, they decided we don't want people's personal data.
Yeah.
They made this choice to encrypt
We
it.
don't want to be able to access it. They still have very intimate data on you.
Yes, but personal information stored on your phone.
Yeah.
Tim Cook and his company decided we don't want that.
Yeah.
It's
As far as-
the customer's data.
Yes.
It's the customer's information. We don't want it.
Yeah.
So they came up with this method of encrypting your phone that they
Anything
they don't have the key.
Anything that's stored locally on that phone.
Correct.
If you don't back up your stuff to the cloud, then they don't have it.
Right.
If it only exists on that phone.
Exactly. If you use
Now, if you use iMessenger,
if you use the
it sits on
iCloud
there.
features and back your pictures up to the iCloud, all that Apple has access to,
Yes.
and if the government comes in and gives a court order for that, they will comply because they have access to that data.
Yes.
The thing is here, this is encrypted
This
on a
is where
device.
it lives locally, only on that.
Right. And Apple has no way of doing it short of rewriting the OS, and they've said, no, we're not doing that.
Yes, and I'm totally with Apple on this. I would be telling the FBI and the U.S. government that they're number one.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
So
That's why I would just say, yep, sorry, we're done. We're done here. That's Tim Cook, he came out with this whole, open letter and all that.
Yeah, I've got it pulled up.
Mine would have been a lot shorter. It was said, nope.
Yeah, we're gonna put several things in the
End
show
of
notes,
story.
including this open letter. If you've not read it, I would highly encourage you to go read the open letter from, Apple and from Tim Cook about this and his philosophy and what he believes and why he's basically saying why we're not doing this.
I found an article from 2012 on CNET.
Yeah.
That claimed a law enforcement source in the San Francisco Bay Area has confirmed to CNET that Apple has for at least 3 years helped police to bypass the lock code, typically 4 digits long, on iPhones seized during criminal
Okay, but that's different than
investigations.
unlocking a phone is different than decrypting a phone.
You said 2012
because that's just simply yes, I know that
Well,
that PIN code can
well, maybe
unlocks the phone. But what I'm saying is that was before they actually encrypted the phone.
Yes,
I understand the encryption.
That's
part.
what I was getting to.
But I still think that my understanding was that they're wanting to bypass the security measures that allow them to brute force. They can't brute force right now because it will basically lock the phone.
Michael, back in 2012. Well, let me step forward. iOS 8, which was the
Yes,
first
I know.
major first release of iOS that had this encryption turned on. If you had iOS 7 earlier, it is in the clear on your device. iOS 8 came out in 2014,
right?
September of 2014.
Exactly.
So
I know about the.
And I know one of the
part.
mainstream media companies, one of the mainstream media outlets I saw this morning was saying that Apple in 70 cases in the past have done this, but yeah, they did it back. And it's one thing back then the security was not as secure
I understand that
as it is now. So
I guess that from what I understand, they were doing this pursuant warrants. That they were given warrants that they had to hand over, because they said in that statement that they had handed over warrants in many cases. They had helped the FBI before. Actually, was in that statement that Cook put out where they could do it. But actually, we're going to come back. But just a thought, Cook's saying they can't do it.
Well,
that's what he's saying.
Yeah,
it can't be done.
Shouldn't be done.
Don't have a kernel panic. Hey Techies will be right back.
Jacksonville Bookstore offers supplies for school all throughout the year. From books to binders, pencils to scantrons, Jacksonville Bookstore has it all. They are open Monday through Saturday with convenient hours and location on 302 Mountain Street Northwest in Jacksonville. To find out more, like them on Facebook or call 256-435-7407. Jacksonville Bookstore, a proud patron of WLJS.
Stress of Jacksonville has been serving the Jacksonville community for over a decade. They are located at 500 Forney Avenue, right next to the cockpit. Strutt serves wings, beer, and more. Their business hours are Sunday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m., and Friday and Saturday, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. To place a to-go order, please call 256-782-0106. For more information, go to struttswings.com.
Jacksonville Tan is a proud patron of WLJS, serving Jacksonville and surrounding areas since 1987. At their location at 115 Francis Street East, next to Walgreens. Jacksonville Tan knows a thing or two about healthy glow, offering 16 tanning beds and virtually no wait times. A great tan is never out of the question. For more info, call them at 256-435-1770.
Well, I really don't.
They are asking for Apple to turn the alarm off on the house and let them go into the back door where nobody's looking and lockpick all day long till they can get into the house.
Again,
and no alarm sound.
I want to make sure that I'm very clear. I'm not in support of the government being able to do this.
None of us are.
So I want to make that clear.
Plain and clear.
What I'm doing is having a discussion about the different options and whether or not...
The option is they can shove it. That's what I would tell them if I was Apple.
We can't have a discussion.
Yes, we can.
My point is that I think some of the terminology is getting... the word encryption is thrown around, and
well,
this
the
is
phone
thrown around.
For sure is encrypted.
It does have encryption.
Yes.
But from what I've been reading, and I may be wrong,
Yeah.
okay? That's a fair statement. I might be wrong.
Okay.
What I've been reading is they will like Apple to allow them to get past the timeout. The timeout time, you can try it. You probably...
No. This device does not have the timeout, like where it delays so long. Here's the thing. This is in this particular case,
Yeah.
the iPhone 5C, which is basically an iPhone 5. It did not have the touch, fingerprint, Touch ID.
It doesn't have the secure enclave. I
Right,
understand that.
and when they introduced the Touch ID, there's a part of the motherboard of the phone called the secure enclaves.
It's a separate chip.
Yes,
Somebody
separate chip.
call with a 5C.
But
because I believe it does have the
sec-
timeout.
Hold on, the secure enclave that's on the ones with Touch ID. Hang on, Michael. Let me finish.
Let him finish.
All right. It stores your fingerprint information there securely.
Yep.
'Cause Apple doesn't have it. It's on
256.
Right.
AES encrypted.
And another feature of Secure Enclave is it has to, if you miss your passcode a couple times, it starts making there's a delay
yes.
before you can enter it in again.
It's like
and the more you
first
miss
4 times, there's no time.
Yeah, and then when you get to the 5th, it does so many seconds.
It's like
and the
a
6th,
minute,
it grows.
and then it's another minute, then it's 5 minutes, then it's 15 minutes.
Correct. You're right on it. But regardless of Secure Enclave or not, is the basically, the FBI wants an easy way to brute force this phone. And when you brute force and figure out what the passcode is, whether it's alphanumeric or numbers, you're in the house, so to speak.
With no alarm going off.
And and that is a backdoor.
Yeah.
You can call it whatever you want. That's a backdoor.
I'll say this before we argue more. For those that
let y'all argue.
just watch the TV, if any politician states that Apple thinks they are above the law on this and that they are supporting terrorism, don't vote for that person. That's all I'd say. Plain and simple. Any local politician, any national politician that says that, just go ahead and count them out. They're idiots. They don't know what they're talking about. Moving on. So,
but here's the thing. If they do this one time for this one device,
well, that's the thing.
It's out there. It's done.
Yes.
And anything you store on your phone is at the hands of hackers.
The thing is, they've had it was a subcommittee hearing on this, and they had the FBI there. They had, I think, a district attorney. Yes, really, inside jokes. It really was I think a district attorney out of Boston.
Sure.
And then they had some experts, and the FBI was saying this was back when they were just talking about putting a backdoor in all encryption, and you had actual professionals, experts in these fields saying, look, it can't be done. You can't create something secure and then poke a hole in it.
Exactly.
Because then that hole is there for everybody. That's the way it works. It's either all or nothing.
Yeah, a back door, a hole, whatever.
If it's there,
it's not secure.
It's there for everybody.
Right.
Even if there's no security through obscurity. So even if we say, well, we put this back door here, but we're only going to tell the FBI about it or the U.S. government about it. That way they're the only ones that know. Assume everyone knows.
Yes. Absolutely.
Assume a bored 12-year-old in computer class knows.
I'm going
because they'll be the ones to figure it out.
I'm going to restate what I said.
Okay.
I don't know. I admit that I'm not 100% sure about the total technicality of this phone, but the FBI has stated they are trying. They would like a version that they can bypass the timeout. Now, whether or not it'll help them on this device, that's what they requested.
What I'm saying is that this is a political move by the FBI. This is because years ago they got shut down with this, put a backdoor in the decryption. So they say, okay, well, this is a high-profile case. We're going to politicize it, and we're going to get this.
Okay.
And if you do it once, it's done for everybody. And my thing
I'm not
is,
arguing that.
My thing is, why don't they, presidential candidate John McAfee has said, hey, I'll decrypt it for you. Give me and my people 3 weeks. Don't think I'm serious. These were his words. Hold on, I want to give you his exact words because it was kind of funny.
The quote.
He said it was like Google, what was it? Like famous security. What did he say?
Thought you had the quote.
I don't right in front of me.
Oh, okay.
Well, I've got another quote here.
Okay.
This is,
so he said Google cybersecurity legend and see whose name is the only name and he says see whose name is the only name that appears in the first 10 results out of more than 250,000. And it's because in so many articles, they refer to him as a cybersecurity legend. If I were on the other side, I'd say, look, we know how Google works. Just because it says cyber, I mean, I'm not saying like he's actually a really smart guy.
Yeah.
I'm not taking away from what he's saying, but what I'm saying is, well, of course, if I Google that and it's been written 2,000 times in these major articles,
it's going to come
be
up.
Right.
Yeah. Just because I say, okay, Google, what's 2 + 2?
Yeah. Hopefully it says.
It's kind of the Siri call 911.
Yeah. Hopefully it says 4.
Anyway, after
what I'm saying is you can't take the first top 10 answers as the answer.
Let's kind of segue into the, I guess, backlash, aftermath, what are you going to call it? Because
Sure.
Apple got issued.
Trump's an
Apple
idiot.
got anyway. This is not a political show. Apple
It's not,
Apple
but
got
it's
issued a
started
court
out that
order.
way.
I think they had 5 days to comply according to the court order. But anyway, Apple basically said no, we're not doing it.
Yeah.
And then Tim Cook posted the open letter on their website, which I encourage again everybody to read. But then you have some folks that have chimed in. Google's CEO has chimed in.
Well, to be fair, I mean, he's kind of, you're talking about what he said on Twitter.
Yeah,
and like 5 tweets.
But before that, apparently Edward Snowden. Y'all know who Edward Snowden is?
Oh yeah, I've heard of his name.
I mean, he
No clue.
Yeah. Anyway, he got on Twitter or somewhere. I think this was Twitter. Yeah. This is the most sobering, important tech case in a decade. Silence means Google picked a side, but it's not the public's. He wrote. So after that, I think is when the CEO of Google, Sundar
like, hey,
Pichai, he came in and tweeted this important post by @Tim Cook: forcing companies to enable hacking could compromise users' privacy. He wrote, "We know that law enforcement and intelligence agencies face significant challenges in protecting the public against crime and terrorism. We build secure products to keep your information safe, and we give law enforcement access to data based on valid legal orders." And that's what he said.
Yeah. But at no point did he say, I totally agree with Tim Cook.
Okay, so Mathangani, I'm sorry to interrupt.
Go
ahead.
it.
Mathangani said, great show so far. My question is, the internet existed in our government's hands for about 20 years before it was used in public. Well, sort of. Do you think Apple really doesn't have a master key of sorts to all of our phones already? I get that may not matter, but I was just wondering if y'all think that already exists.
So let's talk about this. The fact that it was not his personal phone. It was owned by the
I
government.
ain't gonna tell what the rest he said.
Daniel,
that's wrong.
They could have easily put MDM software on there.
And what's MDM?
Mobile device management.
Okay.
And they can't say it's cost prohibitive because there's free versions that would do exactly
there's no
what they
question.
needed to do.
Right.
That if they put it on there, they can say unlock.
Oh, a lot of mistakes were made here. There's no question.
Oh, absolutely. So as if I was Apple, I would say we gave y'all an option to do this.
Yeah,
you chose not to do
in this case because it was a company issue.
Yeah,
device.
our hands are clean.
Now, I want to address Daniel's question in a way. I turned my chop turned my light on.
He's wanting to know.
But
does
they
Apple
do not
already have?
According to them, they cannot get into the encryption. They cannot break the encryption. They don't have that key. It is created. When you write a note, when you write anything, it's created on the phone in the device, that encryption key for every file, and that it is a hash, and they don't have it.
Right.
According to what they are saying. Now, I know some people say, yeah.
And the thing is, Tim Cook has been to the press years ago when they first introduced this. He's been, we don't have it. If it's on your device, we don't have it. It's different, like we said before, if it's something you've pushed to the cloud, iCloud, or if it's on Google's servers, they have that. And they can get to that if they're, have a legal order to get to it. But this is, again, something that's on a local device that's encrypted on that device, and the only way to get to it is to know the passcode.
We have so much to cover in 30 minutes. Another thing with this is that, like we said, if we put it out there and it's done once, it's done for all.
Yes.
So by doing so, you have now opened us up to larger security threats. from other nation states. My thing is, we know this guy's guilty. What do they need off of that? Is it they're wanting to find out who he was affiliated with?
I think that's part
Number
of it.
one, use traditional methods.
Yeah.
Quit taking the lazy way out and say, well, everything's on his phone. Well, there's other ways of getting that information. And
somebody said waterboarding.
well, I mean, hey,
I was thinking that
it's not legal for this case.
Okay,
it's not.
I know we're not talking about that. I'm sorry I brought it up.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, I'm trying to not have to use that 7-second delay.
Yeah, we're not. Let's look at it from a different
Okay.
angle here, real quick.
Yep.
Real quick. There
Yep.
has been a discussion
Uh-huh.
out there, and I want Chris to eventually get to Napolitano. He had some stuff that
Yeah,
he
let me
that
get
was
that.
very important. But
Yeah.
I want to go here with this.
Uh-huh.
I know you're waiting on bated breath.
Yep.
Pardon me. Some people have said, "Hey, send it to Apple.
Yep.
Say nothing that you've done it. Keep arguing back and forth."
Yeah.
Okay, you're so far you're following me here. Somebody at Apple does what they say they're not going to do, and they don't send the phone back to the FBI. They keep the phone. They send the FBI the data of whatever they're looking for, pursuant to a warrant.
Yep.
And FBI claims they still don't have it, and they just go back. Well, okay, we can't go after. Okay, we done all we could do.
So that guy that created it now becomes a target for, I don't know, let's say the Chinese government. Hey, here's a yacht, $1 billion, women, men, whatever you're into.
Now
here
we're
it
making
is.
an assumption.
No, this crap happens. We talked about it last week on the show.
What?
It happened. It happened, or maybe we didn't.
We might have. I could
I
have
had a conversation
easily
in my head. So this happened. This happened with a U.S. based
256.
electric turbine company.
782. 5600.
5600. So this happened
Okay,
with
okay.
an American company. They created the software for the windmills to
Okay.
generate electricity.
We didn't cover this.
So only a handful of people had access to that. One of them ended up being in some European guy. I don't know. He may have come from the U.S. But anyways, the Chinese turned him, gave him all this stuff. They took the source code. They started developing themselves. To make matters worse, I want to say the state of Massachusetts maybe used government money to now buy these now fully assembled, built foreign things, and I mean, just cost this guy his entire livelihood, and that was proprietary information that he had. But because somebody in his company was turned, it ruined the company. I'm telling you, that does, and will happen.
I didn't say it couldn't. I wasn't saying it couldn't. I'm telling.
So even putting in that scenario still puts us at risk. To bring this up, for them to ask that, is asinine. Plain and simple.
Well,
it is, because that's what it does. It puts you want to talk about because they're putting terrorism on this. You're more likely to die driving home than you are to be killed by a terrorist.
Yeah, I know what you're
And
saying.
they're using that to
I understand what
politicize
you're
it.
saying that. Now, I am going on record. I do think it was a terrorist act. That's me. Y'all can believe whatever you want to, but I'm that kind of. I just believe that it was.
Okay.
Okay. So anyway, I'm trying to read something. Go ahead, Guru.
To sum that up, basically, you open up Pandora's box, to use a cliche term.
Yeah, you really are.
By doing this. Anyway, here's another quote. This morning I was watching a national morning news show, and one of their legal analysts, Andrew Napolitano, this is part of what he said. I thought this was kind of relevant at this point. This is not a case, as I see it, where Apple has the information that the FBI has to have that will help it solve a crime, and Apple can destroy that information. Therefore, the FBI has to grab it right away. This is a case where the information that the FBI wants does not exist. It looks like, to me, is a business decision on the part of Apple.
Yeah.
And we talked about that, me and Bruce, you and I, before we came on, because basically
they're asking for something that doesn't exist.
This court order is telling Apple, you will create this software to do this. And the last time I checked, our government cannot force companies to do stuff like this. It's a business decision. And Apple has went on the record saying, we do not have the keys to this. We do not want the keys.
Yeah.
So,
But they're saying, hey, you better sit down and create the key.
Yeah.
And that's where I say, hey, you're number one. We're out. Peace. I mean, that's my thing. I would say you've got the means to do it. Figure it out yourself. There's no reason why they say, look, I'll say this real quick. And we heard this probably when Guru and I were kids. One day, the nerds are going to be running the world. I think we're at that pivotal moment.
I don't know if
I think you may be right.
I think we're at that pivotal moment because the I will say the good nerds are going to say exactly what I'm saying. Nope. Too bad. We're not bending your pressure. We're the ones that have the knowledge now.
What was that?
Nothing you can do about it.
What was that? Die Hard? Maybe it was Live and Die Free.
Live Free, Die Hard or
something.
I
It was on the other night.
Is this a parody
I will
movie?
say, I'm not sure if we're wrapping this up.
No, it was about that. It was about what you're talking about. Yeah.
But this is far from over, folks.
Oh, yeah.
This is not going to be one of those things, the 24-hour news cycle, and tomorrow they're talking about something else.
I have a prediction.
What's your prediction?
Since rumors, we don't have much, but since rumors is coming up, I have a prediction.
What's your
prediction?
They're going to get in this phone.
I don't think they will.
Yeah. I think they will. And I think Apple will have nothing to do with it on paper. Nothing to do with it in public. But the reason I'm saying this is the government can put pressure on Apple in financial places that might make this something they have to do.
Well, I'll tell you this: if they do that,
but
an uprising needs to happen.
Well, we won't know about it.
Oh no, I think we'll know about it. I think we'll know about it.
Oh, we will.
We live in a different age. Secrets cannot be kept.
Well, I understand that. I mean, because servers, email servers, can be found
well,
out.
You wipe them clean with a cloth.
Yeah, wipe them clean with a cloth.
That's why I started the program off with this.
That's all I was doing.
Yeah, I
just
need to
cleaning it.
I need to wipe this microphone.
Yeah.
So what about MacRumors.com? There's a iPhone 7 prediction.
Yes.
Which we've had predictions about that phone.
Apple is now likely to wait until 2017 and the iPhone 7s to introduce the noise-canceling headphones. Now, here's the thing. I think this is not we talked about the doing away with the headphone jack, the 3.5 millimeter jack.
Yeah.
But apparently there was another rumor that I missed, surprisingly, an Apple rumor, that I missed. That's very shocking, I know, to our audience. But anyway, apparently they were going to either ship with or be an accessory these noise-canceling headphones that would work with the Lightning port on the iPhone 7s or 7 or whatever they're calling this thing now. But I think they're pushing that piece, that accessory, back another year. Now, that's not to say the iPhone 7, which is still rumored to be coming out this year, is going to be minus the standard headphone jack. You'll have to use the Lightning plug, or is it Thunderbolt? Or I get this confused. Thunderbolt or Lightning?
Lightning.
Okay, Thunderbolt's what's on the
right
MacBooks.
Right.
So I missed this, but I felt like we need to report it because that'd be interesting. Them come out with some noise canceling headphones. But I think it's just Apple's way to make more money because they're going to push that back.
Well, that's what they're supposed to do. They're not
They
in
got-
the
they got-
business
they got-
of
they
not
gotta-
making money.
They got to pay these lawyers now, so they got to fight the FBI.
Shoot, they got plenty to pay them money for the
I know they do. They have a war chest, but that's the only rumor I found this week. Unless we want to make one up.
Well, I did. I think it's going to get fixed, and we won't know about it. That's my rumor.
That's your rumor.
Yes. I think it's going to get rectified, and we won't know that it's rectified. I know y'all think I'm wrong about that. But
I think you're wrong.
I mean,
I'm going on record to say I think you're wrong.
You hope I'm wrong. Well, I might be. I really don't think. I don't think Apple should do it. Frankly, the only reason I don't think the one big reason for myself is because I think it could definitely, without a doubt, and not could, but be a doorway into getting to your average everyday citizen without any kind of due process.
All I'm saying is they create it tomorrow at some, and I don't think these are my words because I've read so much stuff.
Yeah, that's where I'm at now.
I think I want to say that these are actually Bruce Schneider's words. they do it today. It's tomorrow's PhD's thesis. The next day, it is some script
now-
kiddies
Exactly.
tool.
I really
Yes.
believe this. Other than the fact that what Guru was talking about, the sign part, having Apple sign the software, I believe somebody could do it already. I believe somebody could.
Oh yeah, somebody.
Because you can make ROMs.
That's why I'm saying.
Here's the
Why are
thing.
they so public
Here's the thing.
about this?
And this one thing we did not miss is you can jailbreak your phone and you can put a
Yeah.
non-approved Apple operating system on your iPhone. But the
Right.
thing is, in order to do that, you have to blow the device out in terms of what's got on it.
Right, I understand that.
So
But I'm wondering if,
in this case, since they want to access what's on the phone, that's not an option.
now that I think about that, you have brought something up brilliant, Guru. Wonder why he wouldn't have jailbroke the phone. Thinking of, let's just come from the standpoint of what he was doing or involved in.
Maybe he wasn't a terrorist.
I mean, look, and this is my thing too. I don't see how a lot of this stuff is admissible in court because my whole thing is this has to be.
I really don't think this has anything to do with court.
Well, I
gathering.
know, but
I think this has to do with information gathering.
So yes, I understand that, but like getting data off of that because of the ability for organizations to plant data, I feel like you could easily say, so you have to prove without a shadow of a doubt that there's no unreasonable, nothing, within reason, I am guilty, but you could say there is a possibility that this information has been altered.
I'm not a lawyer.
So that's what I'm saying.
I tried to get a lawyer. We'll be right
If
back.
you missed it live, then catch the Hey Techies Rewind, Sundays at noon.
Red Threads Apparel carries a wide selection of t-shirt designs for every school function, work party, and much more. They also offer custom layouts for monogrammed attire. Red Threads Apparel is located at 16 Square Unit 8 in downtown Jacksonville on the square. Their business hours are Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. For more information on Red Threads powered by O Brand, visit their Facebook page at O Brand Marketing or call 256-770-9880.
Looking to cure that sweet tooth of yours? Mad Hatter Cupcake Shop is now proudly serving the Jacksonville area at their new location at 16 Public Square on the square. Mad Hatter is open Tuesday through Saturday from 11 to 9 p.m. and they are closed on Sunday and Monday. For additional information, be sure to check out their Facebook page, www.facebook.com/Mad Hat Cupcakes, and their website, www.madhatcakes.com.
Gamecock Outfitters, located on the square at 109 Ladiga Street in Jacksonville, provides customers with outdoor apparel and gear. Gamecock Outfitters is able to help you find exactly what you need for every outdoor adventure. Gamecock Outfitters is open Tuesday through Friday from 10 o'clock to 5:30 and Saturday from 10 o'clock to 5 o'clock. For additional information, contact them at 256-435-2008 or check out their website at GadsdenOutfitters.com.
This is 91.9 FM, WLJS Jacksonville, your cure for common radio.
Welcome back in to the Hey Techies Show. It's more like the tech legal battle show. I don't know. Battle, what we could, legal bots.
Legal bots.
I don't
Legal
know.
bots.
And we and none of us are lawyers. We play some on TV, but
Yeah, speaking of
It's
lawyers
LA
on
law.
TV, Suits. If you watch Suits, questions at Hey Techie Show. I would like to know, who do you think's behind this whole thing? Like
the FBI.
No.
Oh, you talking about something on the
Suits,
show?
yeah, Suits on USA.
Oh, I don't know.
Man, usually within a few episodes, I've got that whole season figured out. This one,
Oh, I see.
I don't have
watch
figured
it,
out.
so.
You should.
Yeah, you keep saying that.
It's a pretty good show. Doesn't compare to Game of Thrones though, which is getting ready to come back. But anyways, we could talk about some Tay Tay and Kanye and all that. But instead, my girl Tay Tay had to bring that up. But instead, we're going to talk about, are we still on Apple versus FBI?
Actually, we need to go to Guru for this week in tech
this week in tech
I
history.
think with the Apple stuff, we've kind of said all there is to say at this point, and we will.
I don't know. There's plenty more to say.
As a tease, we'll
we'll
continue following this story, and
Yeah.
we'll keep you updated.
So give me a date. Let me guess.
All right. For those who are new to the show, we may have some new listeners tonight. What I do in this segment is I give Bruce just a date. It happened this same week, some point in the past, and it's technology related in some way, and he's got to guess.
Sometimes it gives me a date. Sometimes I don't want one because I have my own idea what it should be.
That's true. But most time I give him a date, and he has to guess. And you know, you went a streak about 4 weeks of missing them, but you did get it right last week. So
the files are in the computer.
Oh.
Anyway. Love that.
Daniel. He's cracking. He's really man.
We
Appreciate you listening, Daniel. Man, really
we
a lot.
appreciate
Go
that.
ahead. I'm
All
sorry.
right,
give me the
Bruce,
date.
February 18th, 1946.
Oh, 46.
Ooh, yeah.
See, originally I was thinking it was going to be the first 911 call made. That was 68 though, wasn't it?
I didn't catch that one.
I figured you would have picked that because that was an Alabama story. The first 911 call ever made was in Alabama.
Really? I did not know that.
So 40.
Yes, 46.
46.
46.
When was the ENIAC? No. Was it the ENIAC?
No.
Okay. Well, I'm trying to think. Was a
the sound effects work. So
anyway,
yeah, you missed that one. Sorry.
I wasn't saying that was my final
what's
guess, but
all right,
February 1946.
All right, what happened on February 18th of 1946? Television signals were first successfully transmitted from Washington D.C. to New York City over an AT&T coaxial cable. So kind of that was the birth of cable television.
Okay.
Yeah. There you go, Daniel.
So
Man, totally missed that one.
That's okay.
The birth.
It's always next week.
The birth of one of the vexing things that Bruce hates.
That's why Bruce didn't get it, because he does not like cable television.
Well, just the companies.
He hates cable television, folks. Just don't let him lie to you.
Cable's all right with me, just not the company.
Cable is still all right with me.
Jesus is all right with me, just not some of the churches.
Oh my goodness! Well, if you're listening,
this is a tech show.
Now we really offended. We've tried to offend everybody tonight, including people who love tech,
the FBI,
and the FBI.
Man, and that's the thing. Like, I've thought about working for the FBI, but I'm like, I don't know. Like, could I affiliate myself? And I know that's the NSA's kind of had to do a spin on their stuff, because they're like, we can't recruit people.
Can you work for the FBI and NASA? I don't.
Oh yeah, so I hadn't heard back from NASA. I don't know.
I don't think you can.
I don't think you can work for two different federal.
Maybe I could be
agencies.
a special agent man in space.
Oh my goodness!
Secret agent man.
Yeah,
in space.
In space.
So, man, if you want to chime in about the Apple
256
versus FBI,
782 5600.
There's a few minutes left, but hey, this is going to go on for weeks, folks. So send us your comments through email, questions at heytechieshow.com. Go to Facebook, go to Twitter. Send up smoke signals.
Oh,
as long as you don't encrypt it,
I know
we
what
should
I
be able
want
to
to
get to
know,
it.
Guru. Do we know
they can encrypt it?
Well, what
We don't
does
have the key.
What does the iPhone C do if you put in your code too much? Does it do something?
Erases the phone
after 10 unsuccessful attempts.
It lets you do 10 in a row.
Yes, 10 unsuccessful attempts in a row.
So this is my thing.
Yes.
I don't see why they don't emulate. Okay, we said this one does not have the chip.
That's correct.
So why don't they just? Surely somebody's got to be able to develop them virtualizing the phone, and
Maybe
then putting it
not.
in a virtual machine and just say, run it. Nope. Okay. Snapshot. We're back. Run it. Or do 10 million snapshots and then just run it all at once. Come on. Turing did this.
Now the only problem there is the question is, can they replicate the architecture?
Well, it doesn't matter as long as you can as long as you can get that.
This is an interesting question.
That's the unlock.
it's a very good point.
Why don't you virtualize it?
Maybe they can't because Apple, again, like the way you can't put iOS on a
You can virtualize anything.
Well,
trust me.
Yeah.
I've done it. You can't run virtual Mac unless it's on our hardware.
Yeah,
Want to bet?
There's virtual pets now, so
That Tamagotchi? You still got a Tamagotchi?
no, just virtual pets.
I probably need to put a battery in my Tamagotchi. That pet's probably dead. If that got a lot of poop to clean up.
Okay, so we
save us, Michael.
So
save us.
we actually touted this.
We did.
There is a hospital
yes.
a Hollywood hospital that has been hit by ransomware attacks.
Ransomware. Again.
You know what?
Virtualization works. Man.
Yeah, I thought about that today. But not only that, it has come to the knowledge that they didn't have backups. Why do you not have backups?
Really?
Because it's a hospital, and I'm sure if there are people that work in IT for a hospital, they know, especially hospitals around here, they are given no money. Not only are they paid they're not paid at what they're worth, but on top of that, they get no money for their infrastructure. Plain and simple. Period.
Yeah, a lot of them have been kind of with this electronic medical records. It's really stretched.
Yeah,
because
they're having to do that with the same budget.
Yeah, I was talking to my my family doctor this week. I had my annual checkup, and he was talking about how much of a pain it's been just to implement it, let alone the cost.
Yeah,
because he's a partner in this practice, and it's just the amount of money they're spending. And I mean, doctors' offices and hospitals. I mean, there's not extra money for stuff like that. Probably, I have to agree with Bruce.
But I mean, they should have had it years ago.
But that's no excuse.
That's my thing. Yeah, there's no excuse.
You've got to back it up,
because I'm sure there's money there. It was spent on something else. Whether it be CEO bonus or, to me that would be, well, hey, you're the CEO, you're not getting a bonus because that happened. We're going to take that money we would have given you and actually use it.
How much would it cost to get back up without a backup?
Exactly.
You can pay for that backup for years. The amount of, if you think of it that way.
That's another thing people got to look at DR stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Disaster recovery. I mean, exactly. How much is it going to cost to get back up? And if you don't have any of that stuff backed up, how much does that cost you?
I think that the hospital they were demanded to pay 3.6, but I was thinking I heard something they ended up paying $17,000.
It was like 16.4, 16.5
to get the access back.
Yeah, they paid in Bitcoins.
In Bitcoins.
Yeah, that's how they do these transactions. Bitcoins
yeah, right.
Only.
Yeah, sure. Try to go under the radar, right?
Yeah,
that's right.
Which I don't see. There's still got to be, again, this is where I'm ignorant when it comes to Bitcoins. There still has to be some type of currency exchange.
Yeah, I don't know
to
that
where
either.
I can say, okay, charge $17,000 to my credit card. We got the key, and credit card company don't process that.
Yeah, or something like that.
Because, I mean, they've got to wait 30 days. Credit card companies don't pay immediately, right? They can just be like,
that whole Bitcoin thing just kind of intrigues me. I've read a little bit about it. It's like,
there was a computer they just started selling to mine Bitcoin. It's specifically for that. I saw
they've had those.
Yeah, I know, but it's like a smaller one, and it's going to be less costly to own. I don't have the story, and I'm sorry, but it was a blip.
Used AWS for it. Just rent some time on a cloud server.
This was like a dedicated machine for that.
Yeah, some of those machines they're like
small.
They're honed to the processors to just mine to do the algorithms to mine the Bitcoins.
I mean, I'm sure a lot of that's kind of your multi-point. What is the word I'm looking for?
I don't know.
Come back to me on that.
Need a Bitcoin expert to come on the show. Why don't you work on that, Michael?
Yeah.
Michael seems to land all the good interviews.
The only problem is what to pay him in Bitcoin.
Yeah.
I mean,
he'll have to teach us how to get.
He may be waiting a while.
Well, we're going to try to finish up real quick on our overclock stuff.
Yeah, I've got one here. It's a local story. Piedmont High School to require computer science classes. So starting next year, the students at Piedmont High School, just up the road from us here, the students are going to be required to learn computer science. And that's a subject, of course, we've talked about. There's a big gap in people going into that field, in the STEM fields in general, but specifically computer science. So according to this article from the Anniston Star, we'll put it in the show notes, but they started offering us a computer science class at Piedmont High School back in 2013 for the first time. But, based on, there's a quote here. If I haven't, of course I didn't prepare very well for this, but this is from the superintendent up there, Matt Aiken. Whether you're going to be a computer scientist or not, it teaches you to think logically. In the world we live in, it's nice to know what's going on behind the scenes. So I think that's a very good move on Piedmont. So bravo to Piedmont for this. I think that's going to be a great program.
Did you know there was a possibility to have airbags on the outside of your
a car?
vehicle? Mm-hmm.
As long as
next
the Takata folks don't make them.
Yeah. Well, actually,
Oh,
this
you
is
still
coming
have
from the
them.
auto
They just-
industry. The next frontier of airbag installation may be on the outside of your vehicle. Volvo, according to this, became the first to install external airbags when it fitted one between the hood and the windshield. And that device was designed for pedestrians. You know, if you ran a pedestrian over by accident or one ran out in front of you, bicycle or whatnot, their head would not hit the windshield. It would hit that. So there you go. Bruce, what you got?
I was
Nothing.
just ready to talk about Apple.
He's got Apple. That's all he's got. Guru, what you got next?
Yeah, I got
guess me
another
and you-
one. We talked about with Verizon last week. You know, I called them trying to check on some things. I said, hey, can you lower my bill? And they're like, well, we can't, but we can give you 2 more gigs of data for the same price you're paying now. Anyway, they've got a new promotion. If you activate or upgrade a new phone and you're on the Verizon XL or double XL data plans, which are their largest 2 data plans, they'll give you an extra 2 gigs of data every month. And the thing is, once you get that bonus data, it's like that data is locked in for, you get to keep that 2 gigs of extra data every month from there on out. So they're saying that means that customers can get up to an extra 24 gigs of data per year. So that's the 12 months times 2. I think that's per line. So, you know, if you consume a lot of cellular data, or you have a lot of people on a family plan where you have a lot of data because you share it and you're thinking about upgrading, that may be something just to consider. So I think that's it goes back to all these the big four companies are trying to outdo each other. And this is Verizon's latest, promotion to try to one up all the rest of them.
Now, Tesla, it has been said, has banned Stuart Alsop from buying Model X. I don't know if you remember that Stuart, it used to be, he's a venture capitalist, but he also used to run several different media outlets, and one of which, I believe he was the editor of InfoWeek, if I'm not mistaken. And I think you probably remember that one, don't you, Bruce? InfoWeek?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. Well, anyway, apparently he had some not kind things to say about one of Elon Musk's events where it took a long time to see the vehicle they were looking at, and it was a big delay. And he wrote an article out about it, and later on he found out that his order for a Model X was canceled. So apparently someone at Tesla apparently doesn't like negative press. So it should be interesting to see if that's actually true, but it would appear to be true. But, it's their business. If they don't want to sell him a car, that's their business. What's next? Or are we just going to have dead air? What do you think?
I've got something else here. I'm in the chat
We
room
only had another hour.
Uh-oh.
But y'all go ahead real quick.
I was just saying, if we only had another hour, I could talk about some Apple.
What Micah in our chat room, our main man from Micah, is saying, what does it say about the FBI with computer forensics team if they cannot break it themselves? And basically it means they need to hire some Apple engineers.
Yeah, but
but there's more to it than meets the eye there. But that's just kind of tongue in cheek there.
To that.
But I hinted this earlier, but I got this one last story about the Apple Pay in China. It's going to be available through a partnership with UnionPay, which is China's state-run interbank network. And it was rumored earlier this week, and now it's actually happening. So in China is their second largest market, according to this article from MacRumors. So, and the way the Apple Pay works is, that one-time token, and they do all, the merchant doesn't know your card number, so it's very secure. And I anywhere that has the touch to pay, I use it with my iPhone. I like it. And of course, Apple gets a piece of the action for processing it, of course. So, but I think that's a big deal for Apple. That's just more money for the war chest, in my opinion, because the infrastructure's already there. So it's not really costing me anything to go to China. Just bring in the money.
Hey, do you happen to have a Next VR? Can you, if you do, then guess what?
What?
NASCAR is teamed up with Next VR, and they're going to be offering the sporting event of NASCAR in virtual reality.
Oh, wow.
Right from their website.
So is it like you'd be like sitting in the stands? Or
I think so, and it'd be immersive from what I gather. There's a picture where it looks like
You need to find somebody that's got one of those, Michael, just for you, so you can go.
Next VR. They're going to do it online, free of charge. Next VR portal.
Oh.
Of course, you have to have the Next VR and you can use a phone, but you have to have the headsets and the app and all that.
The Google Cardboard or whatever
Yeah.
that thing.
Yeah, that may work. Yeah,
Yeah.
with the
You got-
Next VR. Yeah,
That's very interesting. It's free. Correct?
yes, yeah.
Provided you have the
Provided you have
hardware.
all the other stuff, it's
Yeah.
free. Yeah, there's actually a link where, and then they tell you what you have to download, and then you're in.
You're in.
It's going to be the Daytona 500 coming up in a
Yeah, it's
in a
coming
week.
up.
Yep,
it's coming
a week.
Yeah, our one of our former guests was being interviewed by one of the networks the other night. Larry
Yes,
McReynolds.
Larry McReynolds, yeah.
I thought of you, Michael. It's like there's our friend.
Actually, the NASCAR duels are on tonight. They probably just finished up. So
You missed them. Sorry, Michael.
that's what a DVR's for, Chris.
Oh, that's
Cheatwood.
Hang in there, Apple.
Google.
Siri.
Guru.
Siri, call 911.
Apple.
I just say
FBI.
We've had an awesome show, and Spinks was a great guest. It just thrills me to see somebody.
We got like 10 seconds.
I know, but we got like 15 seconds. But anyway,
10.
All right.
Kind of cut my train of thought off, but anyway.
It was a good show. Yeah,
Hey Techies Make sure you go there, folks.
We hope you've had a great night. And from me and Bruce, and maybe he'll survive the rest of the
Tune
week.
in next week.
That's right. You'll never know what we'll say.
The fight continues.
From all of us to all of you, have a fabulous weekend.
The Hey Techies Show is produced by Mike Stedham and co-produced by The Guru. Station manager is Billy Dunn. Join us again next time for another exciting installment of The Hey Techies Show. It's gonna be great, maybe.